Hello everybody and welcome to the mission Beyond Overlord, Carentan mission. Yeah, so last battle, number 3, was it's a battle that we saw where we took complete control of this town called Saint Condemont and was able to advance a bit forward toward the intersection as the remainder of our troops that were scattered about. They're kind of scattered right now too, but more or less joined at this intersection and took that house at the bottom of the screen and was able to luckily fend off the German counterattack. And now it's time to advance through this National Route 13, the highway that goes to Carentan, and cross the river called the Douve. Yeah, and there's some, well, I mean, aside from the bridge, there are a couple spaces where you can hope to cross, but I don't know whether how practical that might be, trying to go there and ford the river. Yeah, so this is a rather wide map, but we are only using the one particular section here alongside the route, the highway. And I deployed the troops kind of heavy, but very heavy on the left flank, as you can see as I move to the highway where the main group hopes to use to make brisk pace and cross these two bridges. As you can see, it's pretty left flank heavy, and I hope to go there and cross the marsh at two places, or even extend a bit further and try to use that space I already mentioned, kind of lower area where I can, take advantage of the open space and higher terrain. On the right side, I'm trying to use the tactic that I used. There's a space in the hedge that I like to make use of. And the tanks will stay back. Traveling on this straightaway road, highway no less, is going to come with its own advantages and disadvantages. The advantage being that this really long line of sight that it has, very straight, but also making it vulnerable to any counterattack, especially from the anti-tank guns that might be stationed all along that long road over the two bridges, so need to be careful. I'm measuring right now the line of sight for the artilleries. I have 4 artilleries that I can bring forward in this battle, so there'll be a lot of explosions. One of them I have attached to this particular group on the right, so that they'll be able to move a bit closer and then may be able to see better after they cross the marsh. The scout car, yeah, they're all back in the reserves. Once again, the troops will take the point. And this is the longest time the computer has thought in any of the battles that I did in this game, so I'm kind of getting worried here. I don't know what they're thinking about, but I'm sure they're definitely very careful in selecting where they're going to deploy their own troops, so need to be pretty careful. I believe that they will be setting up some of the defenses across the river, so first thing I'm going to do is to try to move these troops into the nearest cover, because they're all in open space, and also after that move some tanks using the variety of the little spots where I can cross into the open space, open road, or open ground. Yeah, so it's a long way to the river. I don't know whether I can make it. Certainly doable, but yeah, it's kind of spread thin if you can see. So the first orders are to go to nearest cover, going to the tall pines area alongside that road, and also cross the road to be closer but still be covered and allow us to sneak for a little while. The day is dry and clear, so the enemy is going to see exactly what we are trying to do, especially if we try to cross that open expanse between the road and the marsh. Alright, so first turn, and we hear some machine gun fire right from the get-go, so yeah, this is going to be a pitched battle right from the start. I don't realize that, yeah, so there are some hidden elements that are taking, yeah, right there. So it reveals itself to be some kind of armor. From the looks of it, it looks like a Stug Mark 4 or Stug 3G or something like that. So we are being, yeah, one mortar knocked out even before firing a shot. So unfortunate. The national route is being also used to progress toward the marsh. And there is another obstacle right there, a pillbox. Yeah, across the river, across the marsh. So there's another problem, and these guys are having a field day in targeting any of the units that it can target, but we fight back a bit, forcing it to button up. Yeah, so first turn, it's, well, I mean, we started to advance, but thinking about maybe using the tanks to shore up some of the, yeah, these enemies that we just encountered, that I think the troops will have hard time in dispatching. Luckily the right group, well, okay, so let's go into the left group and see. I think we are scrambling here, try to get out of the line of sight of the tank. Yeah, and then we set the artilleries up to target the tank, and we are crawling out of the tank's way, line of sight, and also the rest of the troops are going into the tall pines and what cover that they can find in trying to close the distance between us and the tank. And the tanks are also moving. I decided to move it because I have a feeling that it's going to be needed, and also try to smoke where the tank is. Try to block the view. I don't know how successful it's going to be. It's known to be rather inaccurate, the borders. And on the national route, we are trying to advance, deterred by the pillbox, but it's going to get targeted all the same. So, I mean, even if you're in like some kind of wood or tall pines area, you get targeted, I guess, in certain cases. Sometimes it gets blocked by the view, but blocked by the trees or something, but most of the times it seems that in this case you're being targeted. And here is the group on the right trying to cross the marsh and maybe take the pillbox from behind. Tanks are now moving. The lead Sherman tanks. And kind of wondering how the line of sight is going to be after they go to the place I designated. Maybe it's going to be able to see the Stug, or maybe not. Yeah, they're being targeted. Or crawling. They gave them the order to crawl in this case. And Stug has lost its target. Fortunately not. No, not really. Yeah, it's still able to find some targets and lob its high explosive shells at us. Yeah, and I think the smoke kind of worked, and also my artillery is targeting the road up ahead, the national road, and this HQ unit got hurt by the machine gun fire. So yeah, we are taking casualties right from the get-go. Yeah, it's unfortunate, and with a worrying sign, it's going to definitely take on some casualties. Yeah, so 2 clear adversaries identified. There might be more though. And the artillery, the middle one has started firing, and I don't know why I decided to fire at some unknown space. So I do shorten a bit because I think that I want to stop whoever is coming if they actually try to cross the bridge themselves. Yeah, that was the plan here on the left group. I want to cross into the wheat field or the open space across the hedge to go to that area, but we have to see. And there's some bazookas nearby in the middle to try to target the tank, and of course measuring the line of sight for the Sherman to see it's really close. It's able to target Stug 4, it's identified as. But it's not enough, but I'm kind of worried whether if I advance, the Stug is just going to wait and shoot at the advancing Sherman, exploding it, so just rotating it still. And the group on the right has made its way across the marsh, which is pretty fast, so we'll be able to take on the pillbox pretty soon. had to travel a bit more through the forest first. Yeah, so yeah, smoke. You can see the smoke kind of blocking the Stug board's visions, kind of protecting us from its view. And pillbox still has a pretty clear view. I could have smoked it as well, but I apparently forgot. And it's a very ominous sign when you hear this kind of artillery. I don't know whether it's ours or theirs. The smoke has cleared a bit and gives a bazooka a clear sight to shoot at the Stug. It's a bit far, it's around 200 meters, and that is a bit of a limit to the bazooka range. Can it overshoot it? So it had its chances, but was not able to accurately deliver the load, unfortunately. And the artillery is a bit more accurate this time, but unfortunately the Stug bore has gone to some other side in order to target presumably our left flank. It kind of sees what is happening, so I'm not so sure why the tank is able to track us so well, the left group, but you will soon see why it was able to track it so well. I get cold feet because of the tank, and I decide to limit the movement on the left flank. That's the tank trying to assume high position to attack our guys. Yeah, exactly. You can see, you can target the tank. That means the tank can see us and lob its high explosive shell. So I decide to limit it even further, not even trying to cross the hedge, but move along the hedge to try to buy some distance before we can cross into the wheat field and thus, be able to evade the tank. Yeah, so this guy is open ground. It's a pretty clear target for the tank. I get worried. Instead, I try to advance using the middle. So any section that is, presumably free of its attention, the tank's attention, we try to move and advance. Here, I try to target the pillbox, but another group on the right flank is approaching it, so I need to watch out so that I don't get involved in friendly fire. It's just going to be pretty bad. And yeah, so these two artillery targets, I don't know why, but they're all considered. The tanks are moving. The artillery targets are all concentrated on the bridge on the both sides of the river, just in case they're going to counterattack using the troops. So I believe that there will be more troops coming along the national highway through the river, but I definitely guessed it wrong. You can see by the fire and these guys running away, most of the bulk of the troops seems to be stationed right along the marsh, the bank of the river or the marsh area. So definitely ambushed. Somehow trigger some kind of ambush, and they all started firing and causing not a small amount of damage on our troops, causing a lot of casualties, and they all open up. And in some sections we are ready for them. We are already stationed and well entrenched in the cover. Target them with the tank and everything, so we were able to bring some strength, but we are definitely surprised, especially in the left flank. And there's some artillery guns targeting the mortar, and I thought that this mortar was obscured by the trees in front of it, but apparently not. The gun is able to target it accurately, although it didn't get hurt there. Yeah, so we are trying to, as you can see, lob a lot of mortars into the position. We identified multiple machine gun positions, and fortunately the mortar was able to destroy that gun. So the gun is out of action. So tank is able to move up a bit more. I really need to make better use of the artillery because they're not really focusing on where the enemy is. So I think that's going to be taken care of in the next turn. Yeah, as you can see, I redirected some of the artillery toward the enemy area where the bulk of the troops seem to be stationed or entrenched. And then red lines indicate a whole load of troops well in the cover, the forest. And we are in for a heck of a fight. Every unit has a target, and they're going to pull in some of the heaviest fire that we've seen to date across short distance, around 100 to 150 meters. So there are going to be a lot of casualties and a lot of fire and a lot of explosions. And need to be careful, and it's going to be a bit of a stalemate as we try to overpower these guys using every means possible, including the artillery and the Sherman tanks, and try to give them order as I see fit. Some of these guys really, I like not to shoot because I guess it's far enough and there are other units targeting it, but I want everybody to be engaged. Moving up the machine guns to be a bit closer. The group on the right is approaching the pillbox, but it still has a bit ways to go. Can target it from where they are right now. I do have a bazooka with the group, so that's probably the main weapon to use against the pillbox. Wonder what happened to the tank. It's going to show itself pretty soon. Yeah, so we are loving everything. Mortar, machine gun, maybe a rifle grenade or two. Yeah, a lot of fire, a lot of just intense battle going on. You can see by the sound that Shermans are approaching. The group on the right is making its way. Yeah, the Sherman is trying to find any target from where they are. I think they will have some target available to them. Yeah, it's just a brutal firefight. Machine guns and mortars. Trying to track the Sherman, and one of the unit, I think there was a HQ unit, has been eliminated. So some successes along the national route. Yeah, and I think the artillery started firing, but I don't think that's my artillery because I just gave an order. And with 2-minute delay, this only seems to be the German artillery that has positioned its artillery and spotted it well for them. So it's going to be pretty bad for us in the next little while as the German artillery drops into the bulk of our middle section. Yeah, so the next turn is just trying to continue hold on to this road, this sliver of cover that we find ourselves in. And initially I thought that the enemy was there, but apparently they're stationed a lot closer. I think that was the right decision for them. Tank is moving ever so close, trying to find more targets. Group on the right is now in the range of, getting that pillbox out of commission. Tank, you can see the tank on the far side of the, I guess, near the other bridge. I wonder why it still is. I guess it was trying to get away from the artillery strike. Yeah, so German artillery is dropping pretty heavily on our position. Yeah, it's pretty painful, definitely. And here we take the first aim at the pillbox using the bazooka. It penetrates, but not knocks it out. So, try again. Yeah, the artillery is really heavy. It's dropping like a thick blanket of just scorched earth. Finally knocks it out. So the pillbox is out of commission. Now we can cross in the middle of the bridge over the marsh. That's pretty good. Yes, relentless artillery bashing on our position there. But then the good thing is that the Sherman was able to track that Stug forward. And we take care of this guy, doesn't even surrender. Gone, and after the track is immobilized, the Stug forward is easy target because it doesn't have a turret, so it's basically dead in the water. And finish it off. The real problem is that these guys are now in some heavy fire, under heavy artillery fire, flanking the whole area. I think one of my mortar has been lost. Yeah, right there. Let's see, in the middle. I can definitely see and count the little craters that the shells made. Most of it didn't really land on our position accurately, but I can definitely count more than 100. So I think it's more than one spotter spotting for some crazy heavy mortar or something that is stationed off screen. Alright, so the tank is gone, the pillbox is gone. The only thing that troubles us is, of course, the artillery that will probably continue a few more turns, making our life very difficult. And that tank that suddenly appeared, and I gave the artillery to spot immediately toward that direction. So I had a right idea that there'd be some forces trying to cross the bridge over the river, but unfortunately most of the forces already crossed it and stationed themselves all in this forest, stopping us dead in the tracks. I'm only thankful that they didn't put the troops on the right side to protect the pillbox. It would have been far worse, in my opinion. And I do think that maybe if I concentrate my forces for the middle and try to just, spearhead a group across the marsh using a lot of infantry, may be able to get a breakthrough going as the Shermans are kind of spread thin in that part of the area. So across the marsh and the national route, but I think they had some other trick up their sleeve that allowed them to spread these troops across the forest. Yeah, so we start to advance, but then tank is now tricking us on the highway, and it is one of the things to watch out for. And the artillery is relentless. It is basically blanketing the whole area, and I don't know whether we should try to get out, but we are still being targeted by the Germans in the forest, so if we try to move then we need to get shot. So it's, it's between rock and a hard place, I guess. And I found some weird gun there, stationed all the way near the edge of the map. I don't know what this deal was. Thankfully, I guess it's out of range for most of our troops. Yeah, still shooting. I don't know whether they're finding any targets, but I guess we are shooting at the machine guns and whatnot. Finally, another turn ends. Just torrent of explosions on both sides, but mostly ours because the German artillery, I think the same German artillery raked us in the first battle and caused a huge amount of damage, and also I think in the last battle as well. I don't know what happened to battle number 2. Maybe it was that was the night rain battle, which was pretty crazy. That was where we, I think, gained, I think that's where we also gained a bit of ground there. The night battle is coming after this, so I don't know what's going to happen. Once again, I try to use the left flank troops to cross into the field. I don't know what I was thinking, but I guess all these red lines signifies that I'm properly covered as I try to make our way into the cover that is the wheat field. And the tank is trying to move closer to the German defenses, help our troops. And we are undaunted by the appearance of the Stug 4, another one, and trying to move up across the marsh and set up bridgehead for other troops, and also try to attack the German defenses from a different angle, so on two sides. So our artillery is also dropping, but the frequency definitely slower than the Germans. And here we are making our progress through the wood. Yeah, near the river, so at least one of the group is reaching the river, our initial goal. This area is kind of, yeah, has a bit of a varied terrain in terms of height. So if you go down into the basin there, designated by the deeper color of green, then you're not able to see what is happening on the other side and not be able to target anybody. Here we try to cross, but then I mean, the Germans are really active there and trying to defend. And then we are once again pushed back. The second attempt failed, and I think the HP unit knows what's up and do not advance. They stay with the group. Yeah, so still a lot of fighting going on. Some of them guys are trying to reposition, and I guess I was lucky in getting that half track. But they were trying to move half track behind the forest. Yeah, it's kind of a narrow road, but you understand that this is this graphical representation is actually, I think, +2, which means that it's large for, it's basically larger than what it appears. So I think the half track would have been able to make it through and then maybe attack us. So yeah, so tank is trying to move once again, and on the right side the machine gun that was overwatching us is trying to move as well. The artillery is trying to keep up with the Stug 4 by shortening its spotting. Yeah, but most of the tanks are moving now, 6 tanks moving, and trying to see the line of sight, but some of the terrain in the open ground is not really even, so if it moves a bit from the main highway, then it kind of slopes downwards and the tank will not be able to track what is going on. The machine gun is right there, yeah. Still being targeted, and I think that I thought that I was able to provide some supporting fire. And there are some troops still crossing over the river Douve, so I think this group is going to do pretty well in repelling that. Kind of wondering whether I should have committed more troops there, but yeah, still a pretty good mix of troops, but could have used a mortar and a bazooka and some more troops, and yeah, so on this side we are basically just trying to fight and maybe hoping for artillery to drive these guys out of their entrenchment. The tank is still targeting us. We are trying to advance, kind of undaunted, but I think there comes a time where we need to make a move. And there is that first guy who surrendered. There was a machine gun unit that lost all of its people except for one, so yeah, it got pressured very much so. And yeah, these guys keep getting hit by the Stug 4, and despite being the cover, I think the solution to this predicament is to try to move a bit lower toward the marsh, because it's going to be even lower so that the tank is not able to see near the bank. You can cross the marsh and then try to prepare on the other side, and then yeah, prepare to advance in mass. And these guys are now, yeah, most of these guys are under duress, pinned down. Thankfully the artillery is still hitting them, but not with the frequency that I saw with Mouth Agape on the German artillery. That apparently stopped, thankfully. I think the Germans poured around 300 shots on that position. I think I lost around 30-40 there. It's approximate value. Yeah, but the artilleries are keeping at it at their original position of where they spotted. Although I think that artillery in the middle is now trying to find a spot to target not only the tank but also additional troops that might come across the river. And we also try to cross it because it's lower ground, so I believe that the German tank, Stug 4, is not able to target us. like it did in the last turn. And still we are, yeah, still there are some elements that deter us from moving on the left flank. The rest of the tank, not all of it though, but 3 more tanks are coming in to help. And the right side is trying to deter any troops that might travel on the highway. Yeah, so this is what happens if I do not move the troops quickly enough. That is apparently, that is more or less broken. And panicked, yeah, panicked, broken, routed. So that is more or less put out of commission for the remainder of this battle. Need to move quickly with the troops sometimes. Or maybe use a smoke. Yeah, should use smoke. These guys are still moving up though, and now, yeah, they are out of the tank's line of sight like that. And these guys are moving quickly before the tank notices them. I think one of them is a bazooka leading the way. Pretty ballsy of that guy. There's some support fire though. Yeah, this guy, I forced him to walk across the field where the German artillery pock marked. He's on a trip or something. And surprisingly, anti-tank team appears in the wild and is apparently targeting a tank. That is not good. I don't want my tank to be targeted by any kind of anti-tank weaponry, much less a panzerschreck. And if you remember, a lot of these guys, I don't know about Jägers, but a lot of these squadrons on the German side have at least a few Panzerfaust with them, so all the mobile units on the German side is able to have some anti-tank ability. They need to be very careful with this. So yeah, as you can expect, I put just lion's share of our unit's attention on that Panzerschreck, including the tank using the main gun, and it doesn't ask me to use a main gun, it knows what it should do. Thankfully I was able to catch that guy in time. Yeah, so far we have been pretty lucky with the Shermans because I put these guys in the back, and yeah, so the artillery now probably going to start firing, more or less. Maybe forcing that tank to be out of position so that our infantry now here can move into position across the marsh. And let's see what happens here, whether my tank is going to get targeted and pump the panzerschreck. But there are a lot of fires going. The tank, this, but second shot, third shot was pretty good, and it pins that panzerschreck. So, yeah. Out of fire, and yeah, the Sherman now moves out of the way. Kind of sunken ground there, indicated by the darker green color. Thing is that if he goes there, he's not able to shoot at anything. And the tank is now out of position because the artillery started striking that area. No, that's a destroyed tank. And there's another guy actually running on the highway. I don't know what his log it is, but it's, I think, soon eliminated. You can tell by the... No, it's still running, yeah. I don't know what his deal is, maybe some kind of a suicidal attack, but yeah, he's promptly eliminated. Maybe he didn't know, maybe he got shell shocked or something, or maybe he was leading the charge but the rest of the troops didn't follow him. Yes, so we are kind of in a standing position, but in the middle we are advancing across the marsh, so that's a bit of progress. On the left is tying up the Germans. Bit of a reversal now. I think the Germans wanted to tie us up first and then use the tanks and the pillboxes to resist our main force, but now it's a bit of reverse situation. They put their tank out of position and we eliminated their pillbox, so the middle is now open. And we are still targeting these guys, a lot of them, including the tank, but they're trying to get out of the lower area to find some targets and help the infantry. And it's surprising that all of the infantry now are involved, basically. They're moving up and in transit or fighting. So if they're not shooting, they're moving. So here we are trying to move while the tank is out of position and not be able to target us. Some of the advancing guys in the middle being shot at by the Germans, they know what's up. So we are trying to give them a support fire here. And tank is trying to find some targets, and some of them do. Now they cross the marsh. So we're not crossing the bridge per se, but we are crossing that area that's supposed to funnel us. But thankfully marsh gives us, ability to cross L-bait at a slower speed. And I hear some machine gun fire once again, and the tank is now able to come back onto the road, but I don't know what happened there. It's some errant artillery. I think it was a friendly fire. It was just really bad. It was really bad. Somehow found that perfect machine gun unit, and okay, so Bazooka is now targeting the Stug. He's able to find it at a range of 150 meters. It's kind of limit of its range, but still able to have a good shot at it. But missed, of course. Most of the times the moving target is not really, it's not really successful for Bazooka to hit a moving target. So next turn, a lot of movement in the middle, trying to fan out into the cover as the tank is now in the main highway, probably able to target us. And here, the tank is trying to still support our guys in the middle. I think we're holding them pretty well though now, so we have to think about trying to move them as well. I don't know about through the left or through the movement for the highway, so that's the thinking, trying to move these guys a bit closer so that they can use the highway now, which is more or less open. Some of the heavier machine guns are staying put because they're able to find some range even across the marsh. And here is that battle that is going to resume in this turn, the outset. So is the Bazooka going to be able to handle this guy? The tall order and misses the first shot, and the tank knows definitely, and is going away, finds some more distance. Okay, so the Bazooka is able to hit it on the third try, so third time's a charm. And the artillery lands, but unfortunately it's not able to really help against the armor. The Bazooka did it all on its own. So some good Bazooka action. The unit also responsible for taking out the pillbox. I think it only has 2 shells left, or 2 rounds left. You can see the German defenders moving a bit. And on the distance, you can see, I don't know whether you can see it, but there's a concrete bunker in the distance. In the high perch across the river. Yeah, right there. I wonder what this is, and that's going to be trouble. If you're moving into the open ground after crossing the river. The next turn, apparently the last artillery spotter that I have on the right flank is targeting that mysterious concrete bunker. And here I think the Germans are moving slowly toward the middle to try to counter our movement, but it's being shot at from all these guys. Tank is kind of idle, but they're able to still shoot at some of these guys. I don't know why they're not shooting. Maybe they think it's more or less useless. They tried it for 3 or 4 turns already and didn't really see any success. Or they want to save up for the next battle. Still moving, but there are certain tank that is able to train its line of sight on us, so I don't know what kind of weapons it brings. Possibly another machine gun, or even heavier. Probably one of those 88 I heard about. that was present in this area. And only good answer for it is to target it using the artillery, but artillery, as you know, it's not that accurate. Although it's pretty powerful if your lens is able to take out the bunker, and there are certain cases where I was able to do that, but yeah, it's pretty inaccurate, and it's not really a lot of shells that I can put forward there, around 20 or so. Yeah, moving all these troops into the cover near the river. So I hope that I'll be able to cross it. If it is only using the right flank guys once again to cross. Yeah, so in the middle we are trying to move up now that the tank is gone. We are taking position, waiting for the other group. In the middle we are trying to, yeah, we are aiming at anybody that we can identify as the Germans are moving. You can see the last known locations by the crosses. Yeah, so they're moving, as you can see, and we are having a bit of a... Okay, we are aiming from two sides, from the left flank and also from the middle guys that now see these guys pretty clearly. Yeah, having optics of opportunity. And we find another pillbox, which is in a rather interesting position, kind of sunken near the river bank. And there's that flamethrower apparently got eliminated. So they're bringing some heavy weaponry too. But we are pretty good as they are in identifying the prioritized targets, and then was able to put them out of business. So next turn is basically moving toward the river, Douve River. And trying to deter these guys from countering our middle. And once again we are trying our hand at the third time, I think. I hope the third time is a charm. Trying to cross into the midfield, trying to yeah, pressure them further. And I'm wondering if the bazooka is able to target once again. Not from the distance, it has to probably move closer, but it has 2 shots left, and then I hope that it's able to take care of this guy once again. I do wish that I brought another bazooka along with me so that more shells be available for this kind of purpose. Didn't realize that there'd be so many pillboxes in the last battle overlooking this area. But yeah, definitely, I mean, if the pillboxes were not there, the Germans would have surely blown up the bridges. We find another German troop that has not moved. Yeah, they was just waiting for us and now targeting us in the open ground. So as you will see, we are stopped dead in our tracks, not be able to move any further. Sherman and I think the recon is also trying to use the highway now, and these guys on the left flank came back. The bazooka I think moved to the position and is able to shoot once, but not able to make it. The recon is trying to use the highway. Yeah, he's now entering Route National 13. And yeah, it's empty now. It has spent its last shot and unfortunately it was a miss. And the left flank, we paid the price for our arrogance, thinking that we were able to just cross across the hedge against the last known position, the Germans. And as you can see on the extreme left, there's also some German units coming, so need to counter that also. And I do have a few more shells left, I think around 11 on the heavy artillery that I can readjust to reflect their movement in the forest. Still moving in the middle. There, a bulk of forces now on the other side of that bridge. But the problem is, I don't know whether I can move with the concrete bunker now still active and present. there the Germans are moving, so I guess the troops are able to fight pretty well because there are just sheer number of them. The recon is trying to look out and maybe if it has a superior range, able to identify whether we see, whether we're able to target or identify where that concrete bunker was. I mean, I have a general idea where it is and targeting artillery there, but it disappeared because fog of war and I really do not know where it is. There was a errant mortar round or something that I don't know where it came from. We are tracking these guys moving slowly. And the recon is finally crossing the bridge, but what is happening here? He's reversing. He was able to find something and it seems like a big gun that is targeting the recon. Yeah, and as you guessed, it's another gun, but it's a gun that is in a concrete bunker. So there are two concrete bunkers that we have to go through as we cross the river to not a really fun prospect at all. These Germans are trying to beat us on the bridge, but it's a harrowing journey for them. And the tank has the panache to actually try to aim at the bunker. Pillbox 75 it is called, but now it has a better idea and then it's trying to get away. Yeah, I think that it knows that it's more or less overmatched. Or, you know, try to seek out for nearest cover for safety. I think he made the right decision. I mean, I wouldn't really mind it fighting and trying to destroy it, but the thing is, I think concrete might have given them a bit more protection. Yeah, now he sees the troops and then lobbing high explosive rounds, making things rather interesting now with the Germans attacking us from the left and the gun steadily pouring in its shot. So we are kind of stuck. The bazooka was not able to get rid of the pillbox, so the right group is not able to move further. I'm sure that if it tries to go on the front of the pillbox, surely you get shot, although the position of the sunken pillbox seems to be rather curious. I think it's still able to aim upward and shoot at us. Definitely was a surprise to find the pillbox right there. So we are trying to move a bit closer and see if the infantry is able to use the rifle grenades or gammon bombs even to destroy it. And here we are tracking the Germans still moving, and also on the left side as well. The tank. It's able to shoot at the guys, but it's not opting to shoot at it. I think he knows that the infantry can do a better job. But I'm kind of getting antsy. I want to get rid of them as fast as possible. Inflict as much damage to lower their morale or something, I don't know. And here the Sherman is pretty safe. So what I want to do is try to move them a bit away from the main road. Try to target the pillbox from there. Maybe it's higher ground and is able to target it. So I'm not hopeful about that. Yeah, same here we are moving up a bit to try to counter the German soldiers. And here is a pillbox. Yeah, that I'm going to target with the infantry. Maybe he's able to throw some bombs or something. Yeah, so we are now attacked from two places. Still pretty good. Still pretty good position though, I think. To be able to fend off from the latest charge. Yeah, trying to move a bit closer there. Shooting and try to pin them down. Yeah, I cannot believe still how many shells that the Germans have lobbed against that particular section of the road. Definitely caused a lot of damage. I think knocked around 2 mortars. Yeah, here we are getting closer, but I don't know. I think the river is a bit too wide. The river's too wide. I think they're turning toward the pillbox but not really doing anything. So turn 18, I think. So we're almost at the end. The target for the artillery is still invisible, but I think I made a pretty good guess as to where that concrete bunker was. I don't know whether I'll be able to destroy it, but it's worth a try. And finally, I get the idea to smoke these areas to cover for our troops. I should have used, certainly I should have used the smoke rounds a bit earlier, as they came under fire from this 75mm gun from the bunker. And I don't think they did a lot of damage. It did a lot of damage, but still it's good to be, you know, safe than sorry. Yeah, so they're still trying to claw their way for the bridge. And here I think I have lost a few rounds. Still 11, but I did adjust to target them and doing a bit interesting thing here. I tried to see whether the Sherman is able to cross into the marsh and target the bunker, but I don't know whether he can actually do it. It's worth a try though. Yeah, still going a bit closer without being recognized or detected by the pillbox. Yeah, so let's see if the smoke grenades or smoke rounds are having any effect in shooting our troops from one side. And there is that surrendered soldier, still, still safe with us. Yeah, so we are pumping the rounds, smoke rounds, while advancing a bit, trying to gain the last bit of ground before everything's said and done in this battle. And I hear a couple of screams, which means that we're being targeted by the gun somewhere. I think the concrete bunker just disappearing off to the side. I think that's the main culprit shooting us from high position. Yeah, multiple battles going on, firefights. And the artillery is landing in that area, but it seems a bit off. Yeah, seems like a good shot there, but this guy finally made it to where the bulk of troops are, but yeah, we eliminated though because of so many troops are stationed and they're angry at being shot at by the 75mm. Only thing they can target is the German soldier that is crawling out, so it's understandable that they will be in a very bad way. And the Sherman kind of stopped. I don't know whether it's stuck in the marsh. I'm playing around with the regular size. This is a default size, very small. And I think the Sherman is able to make it, but yeah, kind of stopped. Still, I give it a movement order, trying to make it. Yeah, it's a bit of a kind of forcing the issue here. Maybe I'm playing around within the margins of what the game allows. Normally it would be just marsh and there'd be no way that a tank of Sherman size would be able to cross this. But just because it allows a bit of a sliver of land through which it can actually move, I'm trying that and see if it works. I mean, if it's stuck, I guess it'll be returned to normal in the next battle, and I have only a few turns left, so. There are a lot of smoke, but still I try to blanket the whole area so that some of the troops can move toward the bridge and also be shielded by the pillbox. So I think this is a tactic that I should be using from now on, especially now that the road ahead is pretty straight and even. There'll be a lot of guns, possibly with a lot of pillboxes. Yeah. The soldiers near the river Douve was not able to target the machine gun pillbox. I don't think they can throw gun bombs at the pillbox in order to disable it. And this tank is, yeah, finally, luckily, it was able to make it all the way, and trying to climb up that bank, but it's having a bit of trouble. Slowly inching upward, but they get stuck or the engine is going to overheat or something. Yeah, still targeting these poor guys. I don't know why they just don't go back. I don't know why they had to cross in this area which is nearest to us, nearest to our fire, and then just expose themselves into this kind of danger. A lot of smoke right now on the ground, so these guys can move a bit. And tank is still trying to make it, but can they make it? Can he make it? Well, at least the troops are covering for it as it makes a perilous journey toward the open ground. Yeah, and we defeat some of them and then send them back. So yeah, that's pretty good. We battle them in their cover. And we actually see the tank has made it. So what to do now? The last turn. Yeah, so we are heading into the last turn, and it's not still going to be pretty interesting what's going to happen. We have to see whether the tank is able to actually, go to, yeah, like I did, go to the MG pillbox and have a pretty good shot at it. And these guys are kind of pinned down, so let's see if we can cause further damage so they don't return on the next battle. So the Germans got, I think, an extra gun maybe and 2 Stug 4s as part of reinforcement for this battle. So it's not unreasonable to expect, similar level reinforcement to appear in the battles from now on. Yeah, they want to just save up ammo or something. And just content in driving these guys back, which I am also. Now these guys, we had a lot of trouble on the left side, not able to move one bit from our position, so the Germans did their work in trying to stop us on the left side. And here is that tank trying to make its way, rumble its way across. And once again, some Russian Jaegers, I don't know, had a wrong idea about the concentration of troops there and then walks into open ground. So tank is able to make it, maybe it's 40 seconds now 50 seconds, I don't know whether it can actually make it in time. Oh, okay, so it's able to shoot at it. Yeah, and let's see if it does. And then it knocks it out in the last second. So that was pretty lucky once again. Could have very well missed, but then he's able to see that pillbox in a very strange position and it wasn't rattled or anything, just calmly shot its last shot to end the battle and succeeded. After action report, yeah, it's a grim number, 72 casualties, 17 KIA compared to 11 KIA. It's not really, I guess, a lot, but 72 casualties is definitely a lot, like 20% of our troops. So going forward, I need to use a lot more smoke, I think, as we get funneled into this area. And in terms of territory gain, unfortunately we didn't gain the bridge. We need to fight for it once again. I do believe the Germans will be stationed all across the river on the other bank and and then try to resist to the last man. With the concrete bunker still active, we are in for a huge fight once again, yeah. So it's night battle, so that is another factor that need to be considered. We can send the troops now, I think, in the original plan, like I set up for the last battle, battle number 4, and then try to use these areas to ford over the river. And yeah, we can definitely see more ground here, the national route. We didn't get any reinforcement this time, and it's unfortunate. I definitely used one, but we already got like 3 reinforcements with 8 tanks now, so I think this is time that the tanks kind of carry its own weight and then be a spearhead of our progress. But I need to take that bunker out. that is right at the end of the fork in the highway. Thankfully that is destroyed. Yeah, tank destroyed it. And yeah, so the next battle is going to be pretty exciting as well. Going to be thinking about how to tackle these two bunkers. Going to have to be really smart about the artillery usage and also the smoke, and just have to try to at least gain more ground than we did here. Yeah, definitely cross the bridge and take at least the highway to the bunker. If you enjoy watching this episode of Combat Mission Carentan Operation, and I hope to see you once again next time as well. So until then, please stay tuned.